Well, this is episode 25 of Talk That Talk. I'm your host, Fallon Stokes, and we have a special guest today. We have Kimberly Lawrence, Woodward Academy girls basketball, head basketball coach for Woodward Academy. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Well, thanks, Fallon. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here today.
Great. I'm glad you could join. We go back decades, childhood.
Yes.
When I started playing AAU basketball, you were one of my first teammates with the Atlanta Heat and Coach Bond, right? And then it just continued over the years. We just kept playing basketball together. It was like a package when it came to AAU. So moving on to the Celtics, and then eventually with the Georgia Metros, to 1 year with the Magic. So yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit. They were our rivalry when we played, but we always stayed in touch. A friendship in high school, moving on to college, where you continued your journey like I did. But I've just enjoyed watching what you've done over the last year at Woodward with that girls team and taking them back to prominence, winning the state title this past season. So I had to have you on the show. We always got to represent the home team. So I'm happy.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, let me just give a little bit of background about you. So you're from Atlanta. And you grew up around Southwest Atlanta, so the South Side. Went to Camp Creek Middle School, and then eventually attended Woodward Academy for high school. And then you went to Furman University, where you played basketball on a basketball scholarship for your athlete, as well as getting your degree in history from Furman. Eventually, you moved on, went into the workforce for a little while before you went overseas to Holland to play professionally for about 3 seasons. And you came back to the States and eventually got into coaching. So that's pretty much where we are at this point. You're the head girls basketball coach at Woodward Academy. So just talk a little bit about, your journey growing up in Atlanta and when you got into amateur basketball or playing basketball.
So I think I started playing basketball. I guess my first experience with playing basketball was pretty much the Atlanta Heat, like AAU, I think, I would play a little bit with my brother in the backyard and stuff, but first organized basketball was, I believe, Atlanta Heat. No, I played a little bit. Never mind. I played a little bit at Camp Creek, sixth grade. Does that sound right? What, 6th grade?
Yeah, that's 6th
grade. 7th grade, 7th, 8th. So I think that's where it kind of started. Me and I remember her name was Andrea Arnold. She went to Westlake play, but I think we were like the tallest people. So they asked us, we played for a little while with Camp Creek. And so that's where the kind of love started there. And then I played there, like you said, pretty much during AAU, the Heat, Celtics, Metros, even the Magic a little bit and all that. And so then I was fortunate enough to play at Woodward. And then Furman hooked me up with a scholarship. Super blessed with that. Yeah. And then after Furman, so then like I said, workforce for a couple of years, but I still had that itch to play.
Right.
Because eventually when I finished Furman, I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do. I kind of came back home just to try to decide what it is that I wanted. And I still wanted to play basketball a little bit. And so I was blessed. I went to a combine in Florida. And at that combine is where they did like the evaluation of me, and then the team in Amsterdam, BV Laley was their team, and they gave me my first shot to play professional ball overseas. And so that was my first experience over there in Amsterdam.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Let's go back a little bit. So we're gonna rewind it. You're in high school at Woodward Academy. So I want to talk about that transition, because you went to Camp Creek Middle School. You were there with all these friends, kids you grew up with, probably in elementary, middle school, and then your parents make the decision to send you to Woodward Academy, which is a private school.
Yes.
So talk about that transition. Coming from a public school, leaving your friends to go into this high school where you were already prominent. Had a prominent basketball program with Coach Jim Waller at the time. So talk about that decision and that adjustment for you.
Well, it was fortunately, it wasn't that huge of an adjustment just because of basketball.
Okay.
Because I believe that's one of the best things about this sport, right? Is that it just brings people from all different backgrounds or whatever, and you just have this love for the game. And that's so essentially, fortunately, it wasn't that difficult because of basketball.
Okay.
And so the girls on the team, I met them. I was able to meet them the year before, that summer before I actually went to school.
Okay.
So I was able to meet them, and they were just so cool. Now, I mean, I tried to make the best of the situation. Just be honest, it was not my decision. Okay. Westlake is where I wanted to go. Is where all my friends were going. I did not want to be in the skirt or any of that stuff, you know. But my parents had other plans, and you know, I'm truly blessed that they made that decision, because it turned out to be a good one for me. Turned out to be, you know, looking back, I'm back there now. It's like it's become like a second home to me.
Right.
But yeah, initially it was not where I wanted to be. And so I was still, every now and then, I was still going back to Westlake, hanging out with my friends there on the weekends, doing as much as I can. But eventually I found a home, a crew outside of basketball as well at Woodward. So that helped too, to not just have basketball friends, but I had classroom friends and stuff like that. So the adjustment because of basketball wasn't as difficult.
Right.
It was just the workload, the classroom, that was a little bit more challenging. The academic side of it. Fortunately, I did have a good, just my parents from kindergarten on, they made sure I was studying regardless of what I was doing. So my academic background was fairly solid, but I definitely had to take it up another step because the workload at Woodward was definitely challenging. So I really learned time management there, which helped prepare me for Furman.
Okay.
Because it was a lot of work and a lot of hours spent in the gym, a lot of hours spent doing homework and just trying to balance all that. So that was an adjustment in that. But like I said, just due to basketball and our equal love, mutual love for the sport, the girls there were the girls on the team that I already met, they were awesome. So not that much of an adjustment in that respect. Yeah.
Got you.
So, yeah.
So you get to Woodward, a ton of talent on that girls basketball team at Woodward Academy. And it's funny, you talk about Westlake. That's the school I would have gone to.
Right.
So much talent is generated from the South Side. That program was good, but I know it could have been even more awesome if both of us.
Everyone who has stayed there.
Westlake. But going back to Woodward, so you're there, your high school career, you guys do well, but your junior season in '99, am I correct with that? Yeah, you guys win a state championship. And I know it was other people like Amita Rogers, oh my gosh, Adrian Tucker, as well
Khadijah Head.
I mean, it's tons of people on that squad and on the state. So talk about that experience, like that state championship run, playing with that group of women.
And oh my goodness.
How was that experience?
So I would say it was special. As you speak about Adrian Tucker, another adjustment, because Adrian, she played AAU.
Yeah.
She played AAU with us. And so that actually helped as well, going into that. So it was so that in itself was a special experience. I know for the most part, they were all seniors. Adrian, Evita, Khadijah, Casey, Chalet, Warren, they were all seniors. And so my junior year, so it was special. I know it was special for me just because I really looked up to that crew.
Right.
When we talk about hanging out, they were who I hung out with. That was my crew who I hung out with. And so it was special to be able to get that for them. Just because I know their freshman year they won, but it wasn't quite the same because they were. I mean, at that time you had like when they were freshmen, you had Keisha Brown, Daphne Hutchison. I mean, the team was stacked already, so they were a good group. But they were the ones who essentially Keisha and them they won the even though they were on the team, but they got minutes. But it's really like Keisha who held the bulk of the load and all that. And so to be able to get it their senior year when they were actually like getting all the minutes, and just because they were so special to me, it was an awesome feeling for one, because I hurt my ankle playing softball. So I wasn't even actually sure I was going to play that season. Yeah. So it was one of those things I try to tell the girls like all the time. I'm speaking from experience, make sure you get your rest because I did not rest. Like I went from straight from AAU into softball, just trying to do something different. But I hurt my ankle, tweaked it just a little bit, playing AAU that summer. Instead of sitting down and resting, taking care of it, I decided to go play softball.
Right.
And we were practicing slides. Never forget it. I had done it perfect twice. Practicing these slides, done it perfect twice. And the coach was like, let's do it one more time. One more time. And I just heard it all just fractured it.
Wow.
And needless to say, Coach Waller was not very happy with me.
He was not.
Yeah, he was not very happy. So fortunately, it was like kind of early in the softball season. So I had, I think about like 6 weeks of recovery to recover and stuff. So because at first it wasn't looking good, like I was going to be able to play.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yep. So I was on crutches like the first up until preseason, October. Yeah, I think I was finally able to get off. Like right before I don't even remember when, but it was early, it was about second game or something like that. Third game. Okay. I was off and I was rehabbing and everything, so I was able to kind of find my flow back and all that. But yeah, and so that experience, and then it was just, and then we just kind of clicked. You know, it was like we just had that chemistry, and it was just one of those things where it was like, who's next? And we were just rolling. Like it was a great feeling, because there was like no doubt in my mind that we were going to win.
Wow.
Like just the way we were playing, clicking on awesome. And it was just one of those things where like, man, after state, it's like, okay, who we got? Who's next? Who we playing now? Come on, let's keep going. We were doing so well. We just wanted to keep playing. Let's go. So,
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, and to be able to win that, for that senior class, just because they meant so much to me, like bringing me in, like my freshman year, they're the ones who, Khadijah and Adrian, like they really took me in under their wing, showed me the ropes and stuff. So to be able to be a part of that for them was just an amazing experience.
That's special. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So y'all win state, you finish out your senior season and graduate and end up, I know with the recruiting battle, and we always talk about this. So I know you were recruited by some Power 5 schools. And we both were. And I know Furman both recruited us at the time. We went on an official visit together. And I think the dynamic for me coming from Atlanta is that I was used to a big city. Yeah. I didn't know the small town atmosphere, even though it was so familiar. And a couple of schools I visited, Furman, Clemson, had that type of atmosphere of small town. But I think I was looking for a big city. So when it came down to it for me, it was between Georgia Tech and Tulane. But you end up going to Furman. And I know we went on that visit, you were excited and you were already, I think you may have committed already when we went on that. So talk about like the reason you chose Furman out of all the schools, and why was it best for you to go to more so of a mid-major than to a Power 5 and making that adjustment? So
for me, it came down to, like you said, actually Georgia Tech, Tulane for me as well, and Wake Forest. And then Furman was in the mix. For me, Furman reminded me of Woodward, just at college, and I think that's what it came. When the minute I walked on campus, I don't know if it could have had something to do with the simple fact that some Woodward players that I knew had already been there, were already there. Okay. Like Anthony Thomas, he had graduated a couple years before me. He was up there playing. Some other football players that I knew were there playing. And then the girls I came in on the official visit with. You, and then I think it was like, then there was Lainey, Shara, Allison, all those girls. And then we just it was just that moment. It was like, we just clicked, especially Lainey and Allison were from Georgia. Right. So that was another, so that was, okay, good. Some more Georgia people at this school. Tulane was just too far. Wake Forest was a little far too. And Furman was like, it was perfect distance wise for one thing, because it was kind of like, I'm not right. I didn't really want to stay home. Right. But I didn't really want to go so far that my parents couldn't come visit and watch, So location wise, Furman was perfect. The campus was beautiful. And then I really enjoyed my conversations with Coach Carter, the head coach at the time, and Coach Schuler. And I don't know. And I just prayed on it. And then my mom, she actually, I don't know, she has this like, I don't know, when I think about God speaking to someone, like, yes, he talked to all of us, but I feel like he and my mom have this just like special connection. And so usually whatever she says she feels,
you go with it.
I go with. Yeah. And she was like, Kim, the minute she was on there, she felt it too. And it's just like, this is it. Like I enjoyed like Wake. I enjoyed my time there. Actually, who was my host? I mean, LaChina? Was it LaChina? No. I'm tripping.
Yeah, she was there.
It might have been LaChina and my friend Tiffany Listen to Me. Yeah, so they were there. Yeah, Tiffany Listen to Me and LaChina, I believe LaChina was my host, I think.
Okay.
And so so actually I was like, well, Tulane, I like, it was cool, but so it really came down to Furman and Wake for me. And then when I thought about it, they were kind of on similar scale, but Furman just felt like it was the feeling that I got the minute I stepped on campus.
Right.
That was just like, this is it. So
okay.
So I chose Furman.
Okay. So you know, when you get there, I guess talk about the experience a little bit of just having to juggle being a collegiate athlete from being a high school athlete, like academics, practices, workouts.
Yeah.
How were you able to manage it?
So, well, to that point, I have Woodward to thank. For the simple fact that I actually, and this is one of the things I talked to the girls about, one of the regrets I have is that Woodward had me so prepared for college that I kind of was able to, even Furman being a kind of like rigorous academic school, Woodward had me so prepared. It was kind of like I wasn't coasting, but it was like, well, I can do this, and I'm still making, B's and stuff. I do wish in that respect I kind of put a little bit more effort into my studies. Because I definitely know I could have done a lot better.
Right.
But to that end, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, the time management that I had to deal with being at Woodward, because we had so much work.
Yeah.
But the teachers didn't care that, we had a basketball game Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. They didn't care about any of that. The work had to be done. So, and so in that respect, I was prepared for Furman and their workload just because of the time management, the work they had to do for Woodward. So it wasn't that big of an adjustment, honestly. Yeah, it wasn't that big of an adjustment just because. So.
Dang, that's a first. I always talk about that. I was like, high school didn't prepare me for tech at all. I was
really
like, what? I mean, Riverwood was a good school. I think it was just tech is his own monster, and having to juggle that and basketball.
Tech is on another level.
It was insane. It was on a whole nother. You didn't have a life. It was work. It's like you got a full-time job.
Yeah.
So you graduate from Furman. I said before, a degree in history. And then you come back to Atlanta. You said you worked for the Hawks in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office for a bit. But then you still had the itch to play professionally. Was it that you were waiting for jobs, or did you just say, I'm not playing, I'm going to go work for a little while?
So this is how it actually kind of stopped playing basketball. Okay. My senior year my senior year in college, it did not end very well. For me. I kind of lost, due to some factors and stuff, I lost the love of the game. So essentially I didn't want to see so I didn't want to see a basketball. I didn't watch it. I didn't pick it up. I was kind of like, I was just done with it. But then I needed some money. So it was kind of like, so a family friend, one of my godfather, I call my godfather, but he was actually our principal. He helped me find, navigate my way through the job market. So I ended up working for the Atlanta Hawks. Okay. And so that's how I actually came back to actually love the game again. I got that itch there, because at first I was like, I don't want to be around basketball. I don't want to see it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. That's how just upset I was with how my senior year ended. But like I said, I needed some work, and the Hawks hired me to do ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
And so so then just being able to go to the games, watch the players play again.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was awesome too. Cause it was kind of a time when the Hawks were like, unfortunately they were kind of down. So, ticket sales.
Yeah, they were starting to get, I think it was a little bit before Joe Johnson time. So
yeah, actually, it was a little bit before. So they were starting to get, so they needed to have like seat fillers and stuff like that. So it was a little bit before they had to have people come in and actually sit in seats,
right.
So it looked like people at the game. So being with the Hawks, I got to be that person. So, it was kind of cool sitting on the front row of the Hawks games and stuff like that. I was like, okay. And so then the love, it started to come back just a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, yeah, I want to play. I want to keep playing. And so I looked around, so that's why I ended up at the combine in Florida. And so from there I ended up in Amsterdam.
Okay.
BB Laley. And it was that was a great experience. Like the girls on that team were a little nervous. That was my first time going overseas. First, my dad went with me because that was actually the longest plane ride as well that I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So basketball, and that's one of the best things about basketball. Like it's taking me all over, right? It's taking me all over the country. It's taking me all over the world. So, I'd never flown overseas before. So this was the first. Yeah. So this was the first. But when I got there, I mean, the girls on the team, my roommate, everybody was just so nice.
Yeah.
I learned a little Dutch while I was there, so I could kind of pick up a little bit on what the coach was saying. But they also made sure too that they spoke English for the most part too, so that I didn't feel so left out. So yeah, so it was cool.
Yeah,
it was cool.
No, that's what I tell people all the time, because when I had the opportunities to go overseas, I just decided to keep going to school. So I stopped. But that's one of my regrets. Like, I wish I had done it for a little while, because you're right, basketball can take you all over the world to explore.
All over.
And when you're young enough to do it, you should take advantage of the experience.
Yes, definitely.
Like nothing else. So you're finished playing, and then you come back to Atlanta. Okay. Now, when did you have the inclination? Because I didn't even realize you had been the girls' head coach since 2011.
I know, right? It's crazy to think that it's been that long.
I didn't even know that. So I'm thinking like, oh yeah, she may have been working with the team. I'm thinking you just took over in the last maybe 3 or 4 years.
No,
years. So when you were done playing, was it automatically you were like, I want to go into coaching? It made the adjustment of retiring or hanging up your sneaks a little bit easier, or something that you came up with later?
It was, so when I actually in between playing, I would come back and I was working out on campus and stuff like that. And actually I started training some of the girls. Okay. So that's essentially how I really got into it. Okay. I started training some of the girls in between like playing overseas when I would come back. And at one point I actually started, I'll never forget, it was my first coaching experience. I believe it was, eighth grade, I believe, Drew Jackson, Diamond DeShields. It was like their 8th grade, and I coached them in a fall league, and that was my first, because no one else could do it. I believe Coach Kazi, he asked me if I could help just coach the girls during the fall league, because the head coaches, they weren't allowed to coach to coach that. So that was my first experience with actually just coaching. Was that fall league over at, I think it was Christ the King, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it was at Christ the King. We were in that fall league over there. And so that was, I don't know what year that was, but it was the 8th grade girls team. And so then I went, so that ended, but then I went back over and played overseas. And so then again, when I came back, I started training some of the high schoolers. And just working them out and doing different things like that. And then I got on as a sub at Woodward. Okay. So I got on as a sub, and then I assistant coach to Dr. Merrill, who's actually the principal now. So then I worked with him. And when he became principal, because I was the assistant coach, that when he became the principal, that's when he turned. So it was 2011. Okay. So it wasn't so much like it was just kind of like a natural progression of things. since I was always on campus, either I was training myself or training the girls. I was just there so much that the opportunities, they opened up. And so I actually became an assistant coach. And then I became the head in 2011. So
okay. And so now, and you're working at Woodward Academy as the associate dean of students?
So assistant, I work for our dean of students.
Okay.
I work for the dean of students. He's the boys coach.
Okay.
And so I work with him, and then I work actually I'm in charge of the medical records and stuff for all the kids on campus and different we have these service hours that kids have to do in order to graduate. They have to get a certain amount. So I pretty much keep in charge of those and all records and paperwork, and
I got you.
Pretty much whatever else they kind of need me to do there. I make sure I'm available.
Gotcha.
However that is. But yeah, so my official title is assistant dean.
Okay.
Okay. But I work for the dean of students.
Okay.
In his office, so.
Okay. So talk a little bit about, since you've been in coaching. I mean, you've been doing this for 10 years now as a head coach, but I know it was a few years that you were just having difficulties getting players to try out and come join the team. Is it a transition? I know when we played girls basketball was the popular sport because every girl would get a scholarship. They knew that was a way to do it. It's only so many that they played. What is it now, and how hard has it been to recruit talent to a private school like Woodward? When you're comparing it to a public school where it's just kids that may attend that school, and you may have a bigger or a larger variety of student athletes to choose from. Talk about having to coach in that realm at a private school and trying to continue to get good talent into your program.
So to that end, I will have to say that I have been truly fortunate. Now I'm not going to say, because I haven't really, I just take whoever comes in and we work with them. And fortunately, I've had players who actually want to play the sport.
Okay.
They're not, I've had, I've had some girls who play basketball, but then I've had quite a few basketball players.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been fortunate enough to have quite a few basketball players come through.
Okay.
Now I will say it is a little different, just because and even not just at a private school, but even now there's just so many things that these kids are dealing with now that we kind of didn't have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Social media is that in itself is just crazy. But so as for me, when I first got there, I did have to do a poll to figure out what it was, because it was a lot of girls played middle school ball. Mm-hmm. And then by the time they got to high school, they didn't want to play anymore. And so I actually did a poll, and I asked all former, basketball players if they can answer and figure out why they didn't play. I mean, it's pretty consistent. For the most part, some of them, they didn't want to play anymore because they've been playing for so long. They were kind of burnt out. Mm-hmm. Another answer was they didn't think they were good enough to play at the next level, so they just stopped. But one of the main things it was the coach. They didn't really enjoy some of the other. It was the girls on the team. They felt like making fun of them and different things like that. So one of the issues I saw is the culture of it, and so that's what I kind of set to change, the culture of it, because I guess it was just one of those, I don't know, mean girl things. I'm not.
In middle school, you see that a lot. I was in middle school.
Yes. So it was so one of those things is that I had to really be aware of was watching how my players talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And I think that, and so what I started to do was we started having these different every day we talk about something different to get them used to talking to each other. Right. Because I think that is one of the things that this device here prevents kids from doing, is actually holding conversations and talking to each other. So many different things can be interpreted so many different ways through text messages, and that's pretty much how they communicate to each other. Right. So things can be taken different kind of ways, and so my thing really was, especially these past couple of years, is really making sure that I'm changing the culture of Woodward girls basketball. that had kind of let it get a little out of hand with how the communication was going.
Right.
And so, and once I believe, and so once I got that, I'm seeing more, and of course, us winning this past year, it's a lot of people, coming in, that's helped. But I believe the girls, they have fun now, right? And I think that's one of my goals, to make sure that I want you guys to win, but I want these 4 years to be an awesome experience overall.
Right.
Whether you win or you lose, I want them to be able to say that this was one of the best times they had. And I can honestly say, I believe the girls, even last year, we didn't win, but the girls enjoyed each other. The chemistry, they enjoyed each other. They had a good time. And that bond just keeps building. So that made this win even more special because of what they started to do, last year and the year before that.
Right.
So so as far as and I don't know, I've never really been much of I just take who comes in. You want to play basketball? Perfect. Come. I'm really not going out and in search, and I guess that could be a detriment. That's probably why, at one point we only had 6 girls on the varsity team, 7. Because I'm not actively going out and look.
Right.
I want you to come to this program just because you want to, because the academics here at Woodward are top notch. And you're gonna you're gonna learn how to play basketball. You're gonna learn how to hopefully win at this game of life. And if I can help those girls get that, then I feel like I've succeeded. So yeah, so as far as recruiting, I do, if I see a tall, girl, hey, you want to come play? If they say no, you sure? Why? Yeah. But they got to be already at the school, right? So we have quite a few tall girls, and it was just, at one point it was just like, man, they all playing volleyball, or they all cheering or something. Yeah. It's like, what is it? What's going on? And so, but now we're getting because I'm and I'm watching. I do watch because our volleyball coach. He retired, but at the time I watched his practices. The girls, they had a good time, and it's a little different. It's harder to have have as much fun as they do, because it's a different kind of in shape that you got to be in for basketball versus volleyball. Right. So I still tried to emulate some of our practices after his, but for the most part, that was another thing that I got when I did the survey. It was like, it was just too much running. They didn't want to work that hard. So I was like, well, I can't do nothing about that.
That's basketball.
So he's like, that I can't fix. You got to be in shape to play this sport, or otherwise you might as well just not play it.
Right. It's not about
because even now it's like there's no shape like being in basketball shape.
Oh no. Only sport I would say is probably soccer. I've been on the soccer field and run it up. Nah, I'm good on it. But basketball, where it's just constant movement, it's the best shape you ever be in your life.
Best shape ever. I wish I would try and get out and play a game right now.
Pounding,
my body would
bad. That's what I was gonna say. I can't pound on it anymore. But
the
best workout you could get was just going to hoop.
Just going to play, right?
Yeah.
Just go play somewhere.
Kids don't play anymore. That's what I say, because even in our childhood, that's all you wanted to do. As much as we played, and you said needing breaks, it was nonstop. Nonstop. Basketball, AAUs during the summer, then you had basketball season in the fall, winter, and then I went on to run track in the spring. So track kind of compromised. Well, AAU always took precedent, but if it was a track meet, I would always try and stay involved. I was all but I loved it, because it was it kept you in shape. Yeah. And if I was playing outside the neighborhood, I would play it outside, shooting in the gym. Anytime I could find a pickup game, I would.
Anytime we were in there, even it was funny because I was talking with some of my high school, and they literally, there was this guy, his name was Alfred, and he be ready to go home, but they literally had to kick us out of the gym. He would come and turn the lights off on us because we were still in there shooting, right? Because we didn't want to go home. We were still getting shots up. And now I'm looking at Woodward, and it's like, when practice was over, when we were playing, it was like, we still in there.
Dude.
But now it's kind of practice over now, and very few, very, very few times. We got 3 perfectly good gyms, and half the time they empty. And it's just man, we were in there, we were in the old gym, just trying to get shots up, just And like we said, like they don't play anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pick up all the time. Even when we were in college.
Mm-hmm.
Even in college, we were going run and shoot. Right. We just run and shoot. Just come back. We come back down on the weekends. Yeah.
Whatever. Just
get some shots up.
Understand.
Go play.
Yeah.
We just staying playing against the guys. Anytime we can. I don't care who we run. Let's go. Let's play.
Yeah.
But yeah, they
don't have that.
It's like I'm like, sometimes my girls, like I'm asking them, like, I mean, technically all you need is like 5 to 10 minutes every day after practice. Just 5 minutes. You can get up a whole lot of shots in 5 minutes.
Right.
But it's like, nope, that 6 o'clock thing, that practice ends, we huddle up, let's go, family, break it down. They gone. They gone. So
talk about, okay, this season, this special team, you guys won the 5A state championship against Forest Park. And
Forest Park, yes.
62-59, nail biter. Forest Park has a player by the last, I know Fagan. I know her parents used to play pickup games with me at Tech sometimes. And I'm 4 or 5 kids, and I'm just seeing how big she's going to South Carolina. I was like, I'm not surprised. Both her
big
parents
time.
Big and tall. But you know, that was big. Y'all got past her. They won the state championship the previous year in another division. But you guys were basically going against Goliath in a way, and you guys win this title game. So talk about this experience with this team this season, and how fulfilling was it? You were on the 99 team that won the state championship. You guys have won since then. How much did you relish this experience of winning a championship as a coach and with this team?
It was with this group of girls. I know we said it, but special. Yeah. I mean, we keep saying that word, but I mean, it truly, truly was. Last year it was a little heartbreaking. Like the girls, they've been working. So this group of seniors that I have coming in now, coming up, they've been pretty much playing varsity since their freshman year. For the most part. And so freshman year it was a losing season. Sophomore year, a little bit better. And then last year, you could it was like you could see it as they were coming into their own, because they were they've always been good. But the buy-in and their belief in themselves, which is so crucial, the belief in themselves and who they are as players, wasn't there until probably like the end of their sophomore year.
Gotcha.
And then like the middle of their junior year, and they're starting to see, oh my gosh. And so also we were able to change the defense a little bit, and I think that truly helped a little. I put in the defense that I played in high school. With these girls. And that lit a fire. You can see their eyes just lit up when we started playing that defense. And then so their confidence in themselves grew last year. And then we had a heartbreak. I mean, we went undefeated in our region, and then lost in the region tournament. And that was just, and that was heartbreaking. Like, to see those girls, my players, they were just like in tears and crying. And they were just crushed that it kind of turned out the way they did. But we talked about it, and everybody was able to get their emotions out. Right. And so then we still made the state. And so we were able to pick ourselves back up and make a little run in state. And we made it far. We made it, oh goodness. All my years starting to like jumble together here.
I was like, yeah, we get older, kid.
Man, I know. I'm looking like, I was with breakfast yesterday, and one of my friends, Tiff's like, how old you gonna be? I was like, oh yeah, I'm 38. Wait, no, I'm not. No, I'm about to be 40. What the heck? Oh Lord. But and the girls, we lost to Columbus. We lost to Columbus, a top-notch team, and but it was crazy because the girls initially they had a little belief in themselves at the start of that game, but by the end of that game, like, even though we lost, like, the simple fact that they knew there was nothing else that they had left to give, it was kind of like, and that they had they were able to hold their heads up.
It was a sense of fulfillment in a way.
Sense of fulfillment, yes. It was a sense of fulfillment. And so, but then as we were sitting at the Final Four, watching, we were going, cheering the boys on.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting on, all the girls, and I loved that about them, that they were still cheering, everybody else on.
Support each other.
Yes, definitely. So our boys we were at the Final Four game, and I was sitting over here, my girls sitting over there, and the next thing I know, all of them come up and they sit around me, and they're like, "Coach, we should have been here." And they're like, "Coach, we're gonna be here next year." And
I love it.
And that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. Like that was them taking ownership up on, themselves, to say that they knew. And it was that moment that I knew that the confidence, that the belief that they had in themselves, because I believe we could have won. I believe, probably could have won a bit last year, but we need to go through what we went through last year to get to this point this year.
Right.
And so for them to say that, it was like, there was just no doubt in my mind. They were just like, bring on whoever.
They were ready.
They were ready.
Sometimes
they were ready.
Wow.
Yeah. It was bring on whoever. Props to, and Forest Park they're a solid basketball team. And tonight, oh my gosh, that girl, she's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when you have the whole team just in sync, playing for that one goal, and it's just like, bring on whoever. So, and that's the mindset that they had.
Yeah,
that's the mindset that they had. It was just
Let me know. I know you probably did, but you talked to Coach Waller after you guys won. How was that conversation? Like, what did he tell you?
Well, Coach Waller. Well, first off, it was just awesome just to have him, because he was there. He actually came to the game when we played Griffin.
Okay.
We were able to play Griffin. He was actually in the stands for that game, and to have him there, and to see these girls play his defense. That was, and he said it. I didn't really appreciate it, but he said it. He was like, I've never seen anyone play this defense better. I said, wait a minute now, Coach. Hold on now. But I had to agree, kind of, just a little bit. But I took a little offense to that. But no. But I mean, to see the girls. They were just like all over the place. Half the time it looked like there were 15 girls out there.
Right.
Playing defense. And so he was able to actually watch them play, and he actually spoke to the girls after the Griffin game. And then I actually called him. Right before I was headed to Macon. It's like, Coach, you've been here, you got any words of advice? He was like, not really. He's like, made it this far, might as well go ahead and win the thing, right? I was like, okay, well, yeah, there you go. That was his words. That's what he said. That's what he said. So, right, but there you go. That was it. Those were his words. So it's been pretty awesome to be able to call Coach. And he actually, because 2 years ago, he actually came when I first tried to put the defense in, and he actually walked the girls through it. And so to have them, that was just an awesome moment to have him coach the girls through that defense too.
Right.
So,
and just some context, Coach Jim Waller, he's been coaching for decades, but he was your coach at Woodward when y'all won it in 99. Like you said, he coached the likes of Keisha Brown, went to UGA, WBA player, as well as some great other athletes. But then he transitioned. He was at Sandy Creek, coached my sister while she was there, and then was at Landmark. So he's been all over the city coaching. But just to circle back, like I know at one point I was thinking about going to Woodward too. And even though I didn't go, I know, right? He was one of the ones who always he took a liking and always, kept up with me. And I can really respect that. I didn't go to his school. I didn't have the opportunity to play for him, but he's always been a great advocate for women's basketball, and has coached a lot of great players and a lot of great women in Atlanta or just in Georgia. So it's awesome. Well, Kim, I like to end the show with what I call the Talk That Talk questions. I call them the TQs. It's 3 questions, and I'm going to ask you, and I just want you to give me whatever your response is off the top of your head, okay?
Okay. All right.
All right. So here we go. What advice would you give to young girls who aspire to play college basketball?
Oh, I would, for me, this just like I tell my players today. I mean, just understand you got to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't expect it to come easy. Even if you have a natural ability or raw talent, you got to be willing to put in the work and know that it's not going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and even when you make it, when you aspire, when you get that spot there, that coveted spot, when you get that scholarship or when you get that whatever, the work does not stop.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, you probably have to put in even more work. So don't be afraid to put in the work. That would be my one. I mean, I know it's cliche. Everyone says that, but it's the truth. I mean, there's no way around it. There is no way around it. You have got to be willing to put in the work and understand that it's going to get tough. It's not going to be an easy road there. Trials and tribulations. But if this is what you want, you got to be willing to stay in and put in the work for it.
Mm-hmm. Got you. Yeah. Great response. And the second question, explain the impact that the game of basketball has had on your life and throughout your journey. Would it be anything that you would change about it?
Anything that I would change about it? Oh my goodness. I don't know. Like I say sometimes I would, like I mentioned earlier, my last 2 years in college, but honestly, I say I would change it, but honestly, I probably wouldn't be here where I am today if I changed it. Right? It's kind of like oh yes, I would change it, but would I be here? Because I don't know. But the impact that basketball has had on my life is just so I cannot truly put it into words. The impact that it had, because I mean, from the friends that I have, I mean, me and you talking here today.
Yeah.
Our journey started because of basketball, right? Our journey together started because of basketball. Like the friends that I have today, the people that are in my life, people in Amsterdam that I still talk to. That experience, basketball took me over the world, took me all over. I probably wouldn't have gone to Amsterdam, just on my own if it hadn't been for basketball. And so the impact that it's had, what I'm able to do now with this group of girls in the sport that I love, blessed, like my dad says, blessed to be a blessing. And that's what I, try to give back to the sport that's given so much to me.
Okay.
I can't even, the impact that it has is enormous.
Got you.
Like it's truly enormous. Like there's just small impacts, big impacts, everywhere in between. Yeah, basketball. I mean, I love the game. I love watching it. The WNBA, the NBA, high school, college. I enjoy it. So
yeah. Best sport around. I say it.
Yes, it is. I mean, it truly is. I mean, there's other. It's weird. I don't know. Of course, I'm pretty biased, but I just think it is the best sport. Like, it really, truly is the best sport ever. Like, and it's one of those things where it's kind of like, and essentially anybody can play it. Right. Like. Anybody can play it. Anybody can play it at any kind of level. It doesn't really. Anyone can really play it. Yeah.
The most athletic.
You don't. There is a spot for you. There is a spot for you on a basketball team.
It's two things. Those are two things that it doesn't really take much athleticism to do. That's what I think. I think it's just work and continual improvement, or just continuing to work at it. If you stay in the gym, you keep shooting. Or if you put yourself in situations to play defense, make sure you're in shape. It's things that you don't have to be athletic to do.
You don't have to be athletic. Yeah. If all you can do is, all you can do is grab a rebound.
Right.
I think that's your specialty. Let's go.
Right.
Let's go. Like, you a lockdown defender? Let's go.
Yeah.
You can pass the ball to the next. The best player can shoot and do all that.
Right.
But man, please, there's literally a spot for you somewhere on the basketball team.
Right.
And that's why I love that. I love it. So.
And this is the last question. What is the legacy that you want to leave for future generations?
Oh, the legacy. Oh my goodness. I want them to know. I just want them, when people think about Woodward girls basketball,
Mm-hmm.
Be it on hopefully, we can get back to a national level, kind of
Right.
how we were. But even if we don't, even if it doesn't get there, my goal is, and I even ask my seniors, is like, and that's the question that's funny, because that's the question I ask, what legacy do you want to leave? Coach John Wooden, his quote of success, and his definition of success, I'm going to butcher a little bit, but it's pretty much just being able to look yourself in the mirror and saying that you did the best that you were able to do. And you're not, and that's what I tell my girls all the time. I want them to know that when they become a Woodward girls basketball player, there's no comparison to anyone else on that team but themselves and who they were yesterday. And so that's the legacy that I want to leave. I just want those girls to know that each and every day, no matter like what, they've gotten better. So they started their freshman year. By the time they're seniors, they are a better, and however athletic they are, they're better athletes. They are a better person, right? And they love the game. That's my hope.
Yeah,
they love the sport when they finish. They're a better person and they're a better athlete. Like and I feel like if I've accomplished that, if I can get those things there, I believe that's an awesome legacy.
That's awesome.
I think that would be a great legacy to leave. And so that's what I hope to accomplish whenever my time there is over, that the girls can say that the girls, whoever they look back on their time as a Woodward basketball players, 4 years, 2 years, however long it is, they had fun, and they got better.
So, reaching full potential. I love it. Well, Kim, this was a great interview. I enjoyed it. It's always to talk about old times that, you get, but that memory is we just have so many fond memories and the experiences that basketball said at an early age took us all around the country.
Everywhere, right?
Cool experiences when I think about it.
It's like our paths are so intertwined. Our paths are so intertwined that
but like I said, I always usually end the show. I do a Black business shout out, but I want to actually shout you out. I know, besides coaching, you also do photography. So I'm just gonna let you, put your brand out there and where people can find you, see some of your work, and if they want to DM you or reach out to see if they could get your stuff.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. So thank you. So I am actually on Instagram as at Moments by Kimberly Nicole. I've done weddings, but mostly portrait. If there's a person involved, I would love to take that picture.
Awesome.
And just create that memory, capture that moment for people. I love to do that. I love to make sure through my camera that I'm able to capture the special moment for whoever it is, their family, so they have something to look back and remember for a lifetime. So,
That's awesome.
At Moments by Kimberly Nicole is where you can find me on Instagram. So
awesome. Well, that's the Black business shout out from yours truly over here, Kimberly Lawrence.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well,
thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining the podcast. You were awesome. And I just appreciate you. Congratulations on this fantastic season. I'm so proud of you and your girls and what your team was able to accomplish this season. And I'm glad we just have somebody. I know somebody really paying it forward in the community and really shaping the lives or the futures for the next generation. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, I appreciate you, and thank you for giving me this chance to speak. I acknowledge you for all the awesome guests that you've had on here, for all that you've done. I mean, it's just following your journey as well. It's just been, I'm proud of you and everything that you're doing in this life and just trying to make your world a better place. So thank you. Acknowledge you for that. So appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Well, I'll catch you next time, Kim. Thanks for joining the show. And I'll see you soon. We're going to link and we're going to talk soon.
Bet. Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah. All right, Fallon.
Talk to you later.
Blessed. All right. Bye.
So this was another great episode of Talk That Talk, episode 25. I had the honor of having Kimberly Lawrence, head girls basketball coach at Woodward Academy, state champions at Woodward Academy this past season. It was great to have her on, a close friend of mine. We have a friendship that has lasted for nearly 30 years. Is crazy, but she's one of my childhood friends. We both went on that high school, middle school, AAU basketball journey and being recruited and playing collegiate basketball. But we've always stayed in touch, and it's just great to see the accomplishments she has garnered over the last few seasons and how great she is as a coach and as a leader in her community, especially at Woodward Academy, paying it forward at the high school that she attended. So that's awesome. But then again, this was another great episode, episode 25. Please check it out. Again, we've had some great episodes from season 1 to season 2. But they're still online. So make sure you subscribe to YouTube. That's where we have the visual showing of the podcast, as well as the audio version, which you can catch on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. So check us out, subscribe. And then again, until I see you next time, thanks so much for listening. Have a good one.